Aloha, happy Aloha Friday. Let's get going. We've got, hey, I just gave you a treat. Oh my gosh, she's so picky. It's not okay for me to give her a whole treat like this. I got to break it up like that for her. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Aloha gang, welcome. We're doing a little different as I posted over in our on community page and told a bunch of people doing some different things today because there's a lot going on out there right now. Everything from Cantina tonight's going to be a little different. We're actually going to do it a little earlier and participate with the vigil that has been going on all day here in Hawaii for the victims of the Lahaina fires. But for right now, what I wanted to do today for our mental health live, this idea actually came from someone in our community, and it really made a lot of sense. Every time we have news stories come out, okay, whether it be a missing child or, okay, true crime stories or whatever, there are days it really affects us. Well, today's one of those. Not only do we have, of course, the whole story with Chris Watts going on, but this 8 passengers thing. I don't know about you guys, but there's been some triggering things with it. Okay, it brings up a lot of memories. It brings up a lot of feelings and things like that. So what I wanted to do is take the story. We're going to talk about 8 passengers. We're going to talk about who they were, who she was, who Ruby is, and how we got to this place. But the main thing I want to talk about, because most of us know a lot about 8 passengers, we'll find out exactly. But I want to talk about how everyone is dealing with the triggers connected with it. Okay, there's a lot of stuff coming up, and it comes up with every single story that comes out. When we hear, okay, when Kamari's story came out, when Ariel's, when we hear all these other things, we have a lot of things going on. So that's what we're going to do. However, before we get to that, now that I got the dogs, I think quiet, maybe quiet, I want to do some real quick highs because we've been talking in chat like crazy for about 20 minutes now. So I want to say hello, hello, hello. Let me rewind all the way through my comments. There's a lot of them. And okay, Crochet was first in the chat. And I also wanted to say thank you, K Crochet. For those of you who don't, Kay became a member. So we got to add her to the membership and say hi, hi. No, we want this right now. That's all we care about right now. Yeah. So thank you for becoming a member, and thank you also for the donation you sent me. Thank you so much. And we got here she goes, sitting there, pretty in blue. Hello, my dear, and Princess Megan. How you doing, my dear? Yeah, we've been having fun talking and all sorts of stuff today. It's been a busy day. Robbie, hello, Robbie. How you? Oh, you want this? Is that what you want? I am at the point where I think they've eaten me out of all of my food for them, all their treats. This is literally the last bag I have, and you can see it's pretty much empty. So, Sleuth Mom, what do you think I'm going to have to break out today? Problem is, I don't have any actual Cheetos. I have Cheetos popcorn, so they may get Cheetos popcorn. So we'll see how that goes. Who else we got? AJ popped in. Hello, DC. How you doing? And we've been talking about emojis in chat and how that goes. I know, I see you right there. Let's see. And someone's getting hot something right now. Oh my God. In the bushes, how you doing, girl? And Lone Wolf, thank you. Sent some stuff on over at Discord with what was it? The 911 dispatch for this case, I suspect. I'll have to go take a look at that. I know you're being noisy. So does the whole world know? Everyone knows it's being noisy. Kelly, how you doing, my dear? LG, I'm happy you got your stuff. For those of you who don't know, there's a bunch of us playing around on Temu right now. And Kelly got to get her 5 free gifts today, and we all helped her out with that. Sleuth Mom, who's been organizing that chaos, because it is chaos, actually. Cassie, would you say please? Who else we got in chat? We got High Priestess, who we've been having fun. She left something in a mod chat that I've got to take a look at and take my vote as to which card I like best. So I will do that. Dog Defender. Hello, Cassie. Yes, you are being noisy. Okay, here, you can chew this out of my hand. How's that? Who else we got here? We got a lot of people in chat today. Ringo. Hello, Ringo. Ah, Blind. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, Blind. Please share the stream. Anyone, okay, any of my streams, feel free to share because this one, especially, I really was a great idea when the person mentioned it. If that person wants to say who they were, go for it. It was a great idea because I don't know about you when you're covering true crime, when you're covering all these things, whether it's that or even watching them. Okay, you have your recommended list, your list of things to watch, and it can get triggering at times. Even if you didn't have a trauma per se, a lot of us have these emotions where it's hard to watch. If you're very empathetic, okay, or empathic, I guess is the word. Empathic or empathetic? I don't know. What do you guys think it is? Anyhow, and it it brings up emotions in you. It gets you feeling ways that just don't feel comfortable. How do you deal with all those things? And what we're going to do, I am going to put out the link if you guys want to, anyone wants to come up and talk about how they deal with it. And yes, we'll talk a little bit about eight passengers at the same time. And I just saw some other people in chat. We got Cupcake. How you doing, Cupcake? Cassie, we do stop scratching my hand. How you doing, Cupcake? And Seal is in the house. Um, Hot Priestess, it was nice that you're doing triggers because I think today is extremely triggering with personal issues going. You know, it's been a rough couple weeks, I think, for a lot of people, a lot of things going on, stuff like that. Hello, 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 Chica. Oh my gosh, you guys are horrible. They are horrible. And also, get another treat. So, hopefully, I have no one's complaining. So, I'm taking it that Crisp is doing its job. Um, so let me just ask this real quickly. Okay. How many of you before the last day or two had ever heard of eight passengers? Put a one in chat if eight passengers was something you knew about going into all this. Put a two in chat if eight passengers was something you never knew about. Okay. You had no idea what it was talking about. Maybe they were talking about school buses. Maybe they're, who knows what they were talking about. Let me get a kind of idea because it makes a difference to figure out, okay, we're getting some twos. We are definitely getting some twos. Okay, so we do need to go through some of this stuff. I know with me, I knew about them, but that was because I used to be involved. Kelly is the one. Okay, I would kind of watch some of the different mommy vlogger channels because some of them I had some issues with. I'll be honest. I had some issues with some of what was I was seeing happening. And I kind of got involved and I kind of pulled away as I started focusing on other things a little bit more. But long story short, let me pull this up. We're going to go through this real quickly. And then at some point, what I want to do is pull people up on panel so we can kind of talk about things. But just to bring everyone up to actually, there's two things going on here. So Ruby Frankie had a YouTube channel, eight eight passengers. Basically, it was a mommy vlog channel, okay, where she would sit there and she'd do video of what was going on in her life. You guys all know the mommy vlogging type channel. There were a lot of people who had concerns though. There were a lot of concerns with it. In fact, I'll be honest, one of the things, in fact, let me pull this up real quick. Let me pull this down and show you as I started looking for stuff. And hey, Cooter's in the house. I can't highlight Cooter right now. There, now I can highlight Cooter. Hey, Cooter, how you doing, my dear? Now that I know who you are. And also, but as I was looking for information on, okay, this story as it's breaking right now, I came across this from 2020. Okay, if you look at June 25th, 2020. So we're talking what, 3 years ago now. And at that time, there was a lot of issues going on where people were talking about potential abuse back then. Okay, a lot of issues going on back then, a lot of calls. And yes, there was some question, was it drama type? We all know drama, all that stuff. Or was it real concerns? People had real concerns. So this is not something that was new to them. Okay, family had concerns about it. I mean, this is here. I'll share this link with you guys in chat if anyone's interested in that. But it was something that'd been out there. for a while. I mean, as you can see here, there was the change.org petition. There were a lot of concerns people had. Some of the clips were just really, they just didn't ring right for a lot of people. And so there was a lot of concerns with it. Now, as we're starting to find out stuff today, Kelly is, I heard of them from DCP. Yeah, that's exactly where I heard about them first, too, Kelly. And I think that's probably why both you and I are the ones with the one by our names. And is because we had heard from, okay, about them from him. And then, of course, I started, when I hear things, I go out and I try to watch before I make decisions. And there were some things I was like, I don't know about. And but where it comes down to now is what has happened since. And so I'm going to pull this down and bring back up today's stuff. Hello, little dogs. I can hear you guys causing all sorts of noise. Yes, Pia. Okay. So for those of you, let me ask again one more set of questions. I'm going to give you a different set of numbers because I don't want to go through tons of stuff if y'all really know where we are to begin with. Type a 3 in chat if you have watched other videos about Ruby being arrested and the abuse allegations and stuff like that at this point. Put a 3 in chat if you know about, okay, the child who showed up at a next door neighbor's with Tate, well, with Tate. They had been bound, okay, had not looked like malnutrition. So put a 3 if you've known about it because of that. Put a 4 if you actually have not heard about any of this yet, and this is totally new to you. Okay, so we're getting 3. So we've got the basic gist of things out there right now. Not much, just what I told you, AJ. Okay, got it, got it. So I'm just going to real quickly go through a bit of this. This is from Washington Post, which I honestly has been doing a really good job lately with some of their stories. Cupcake and okay, we got a couple 4, so we will go through a little bit more on this. And so as this mentions here, Ruby was a YouTuber. She had a very, very popular, okay, tons of sub channel. And we're basically, she vlogged family life, what was going on with her kids, all these other things. Well, what happened was late on Wednesday. So today is Friday, so 48 hours ago. Okay, one of her children, her son, escaped out of a window. Okay, and they live in Utah at the home of Jody Hildebrandt, which is a business partner that they have. And he escaped out of there and actually went to a neighbor's house. And once he got to that neighbor's house, rang the doorbell. Okay, someone comes out, sees this child who is emaciated, malnourished to the point where the police were like, okay, we need to get him to the hospital ASAP. Okay, and deep, as the responding officer says right here. Okay, deep lacerations from being tied up with rope. Okay, they took the little guy into, okay, I'm not sure which, okay, child this was, but they took the child into the hospital and then went over to the house. At that point, they found her 10-year-old child, her daughter, in a similar malnourished state. So definitely something we see quite often. And why I wanted to talk about this, because we see this quite often when it comes to abuse. A lot of times people seem to see that emotional abuse or physical, meaning hitting or something like this. I don't know about you guys, but I hear a lot about malnourishment, children who aren't being given food. Okay, we hear this over and over and over in these cases. Um, Blind, everything I'm talking about is news. Okay, got it. Awesome, awesome, Blind. So thank you, thank you. I don't want to repeat things that everyone knows, but at the same point, I don't want to um, be talking about something that no one really understands to begin with, if that makes sense. Boots is saying there is new news that just came out that below Jody's garage was a hideout bunker that had locks added to the outside. And you know what? They are They are Mormon families, so they could actually have something. People do have things, okay, now whether or not it was an escape type place or something, who knows? And that's what we're gonna start finding out. Okay, we let the police get their work done. They're gonna look into all these things and let us know exactly what is going on. Okay. I think her husband now has some charges coming towards him too. Of course, also the business partner. Hello, little dogs. I hear you. So they've now found two children, according to this one article. And the two youngest have been treated the worst all along. The two youngest had Christmas taken away from them while the rest of the kids were given Christmas. And that's something we tend to see. There's a lot of, I hate to say it, but as you get popularity and stuff like that, you do see that. Okay. If children don't want to be part of that popularity or things like that, they can be treated differently. Not sure if that is part of this, but I have seen that happen quite often when I look at stories where some children don't want to be part of, okay, the social media life, the TV life, things like that. And if a family depends on that, it kind of puts them in a different place. Okay. It's work now for them. It's not fun. Um, Cupcake, were they putting these kids on YouTube and no one noticed? That okay, and this is one of the things. A lot of people had some concerns, but the channel itself, Eight Passengers, was taken down last winter, I think it was. I forget the exact timing. Someone else may know. But it was finally taken down by YouTube. And um, you know what? This is a perfect example of those things where we talk about, we see people on social media, okay, on Facebook, things like that, and it looks like they have the most wonderful life in the world. But it's because it's what we're being shown. Okay, that can be even with us. I mean, how often do we put the dark side of our life out on Facebook? Heck, most of us sit there and actually, okay, go and put filters on our pictures and stuff like that. So, yeah, yeah, guys, please watch out with chat, because this is, yeah, creatively spelled. I know it's a really weird thing. I'm frustrated because of a lot of the rules with you can't say this word, you can't say that word, and I have problems with, but we're going to try to do whatever we can. Okay, so if you guys can help me out with that, because I have problems with that too. I always say things knowing that YouTube's probably not going to like it. So anyhow, the two were taken down. Now, what I have heard is that family have since come out and said they had concerns about this stuff. In fact, there had been actually reports made, people going to the police saying, hey, you know what, there's something wrong here, we've got problems here. And in fact, that article is where I started getting the information that a child usually will report, okay, ABUSE 3 times before it is actually taken seriously and followed up on. Hey, LeClock, how you doing, my dear? Hey, hey, hey. No problem, my dear. Thank you. Thank you, AJ. And also, and that's kind of what happened with this. So, okay, moving on with this. So, Hildebrandt's counseling firm Connections, where Frankie works, did not immediately return a request for comment on Thursday. There's definitely charges going on. Okay, 3 of them, it looks like at this point. Okay, and no request. News of Frankie's arrest was welcomed by several of her sisters. Like I said, many members of her family have been trying to report her for, okay, ABUSC. They've been trying to get the word out about this, okay, and get help for the children. And it just, nothing had been happening, as well as, for example, as it says here, her estranged adult daughter. It goes in a little further what I was talking about. Okay, her children, it was called Eight Passengers because it was 6 of her kids and then mom and dad. That's how the name came up. And as you can see here, they had 2 million subscribers, okay, at the height of the channel. Okay, so this was not a small, little, teeny tiny channel. This was a huge channel. Um, and because of that, we started seeing more and more things. Okay, so here. Okay, let's see. Oh, you were watching. Okay, so Lip Locked. Long Crime is right now talking. See, this is really, and that's why I want to give you guys the story. And at some point here, I want to turn this in the direction of how we can take care of ourselves and our own mental health when we have stories like this. Stories, missing children's stories. Okay, when you're covering and doing advocacy, it gets draining and it hurts. And if you've got any background or empathy or things like that, it can really become problematic for you. And how are we going to take care of ourselves during that? So at some point, I do want to pull people up, give everyone a chance to come up on panel and talk about things that they do for that. And thank you, LeBlanc. I'm happy to see you here, by the way. Boots, the way the information is coming out, there's definitely more information. Yes, we're just starting to see things. And um, yeah, this became anyone who's ever had a channel knows you get a channel, especially a channel that big. It takes a lot of work, a lot of posting, a lot of videos, a lot of changing of subjects. Okay, what are you going to talk about? And what pulls a lot of people into the mommy vlogger type things isn't just the cleaning of the house and stuff like that. It's the ideas on how to raise your child. And also, you need to make sure that's where a lot of this stuff started. And so they are, as I said, okay, members of the Mormon church. Okay, no problem there. I mean, I've got a very, very close family friend, okay, that are so no problems there, and I don't want anyone to kind of focus. I know sometimes people will focus on that. No. Um, but right now, that's gone on with that story here. Okay, so what was it? So this kind of goes into a little bit about what they have been seeing and what people started to get concerned about. Okay, the main focuses were things such as, okay, preparing meals, taking her kids places. If a child had something, a first, making sure to document that. Talk about, okay, first boyfriends, things like whatever it was, all the things that are normal families. But there were things that started becoming problematic, things that people started, their alert buttons were just popping up. Okay, for example, in this one, they're saying, okay, she was disciplining her children, okay, including where he had slept on a beanbag. One of the children had slept on a beanbag for months as a punishment for what happened. Now we've also seen, it looks like there may be alleged that the children had been tied up, not being fed, things like that. Seal, and that is kind of where my thought was with that. Many of you guys know how I feel about children. Okay, it starts off, especially with these things, a lot of these kids, it starts off as something fun for them. But at some point, it becomes it's work. And that, no, a child needs to live their life. They need to enjoy. Okay, not only that, there's too much creepiness out there on the internet. And every parent can make their own choice. Every parent knows their own child can make their own choice when to allow them to get on, okay, Facebook, when to allow them to do this, that, whatever it is. But that's kind of my thought too. Okay. There are lines with it and knowing your children. And so after this popped up, where people started being like, whoa, what do you mean? Your kid sleeping on a beanbag is punishment? People started going back and they started doing what we see all the time. People start doing all the investigation into things, looking through video after video after video, trying to find anything that they may have missed before. And so one of the things they mention here is she explained that her daughter needed to go hungry to learn to pack her lunch. She wasn't packing her own lunch, so it's like, okay, you can just go hungry. Okay, she threatened her child with losing the privilege of eating dinner at that point. So as these things started, people did start speaking up. Okay, Child Protective Service did visit the house. This was something that was reported on multiple times. Anyone who's been around the internet, especially, okay, true crime, okay, trauma and all that, knows how people love to get CPS involved in things. Well, they were involved in this case. They did go in there and take a look at things. Um, and all, but everything always came back to parents have their choice on how they want to raise their child, and they do. Okay, I can guarantee you the way, okay, my parents raised me was probably completely different than the way, say, Sleuth Mom, I'm gonna pick on you. Okay, your parents raised you. Totally different. And some of that is due to who we are. Okay. So, yeah, exactly. Depending on the age, I mean, 6 years old, you know what, making your child, okay, yeah, there's some major, and I think we're gonna see a lot of stuff pop up there. So, Jody Hildebrandt was her business partner, and they had been in videos together, worked together. She worked at Connections with the social media accounts. They advertised parent classes. That's a lot of times what this all comes down to when you've got this type of blogging going on. Is it's, oh, I know how to parent, and I'm going to train other people how to parent, and so you're depending on your child and the history of your parenting style to do that. And in 2012, Hildebrandt was put on probation for 18 months and nearly lost her license while working as a P addiction therapist after she discussed a patient publicly without his permission. So there you're going into HIPAA. Okay, violated HIPAA, almost lost her license. Cupcake. I am a parent that makes dinner. They have to try everything, but if they don't eat it, I make them a sandwich. They are okay. They are teens. I don't starve them, but only cook one. Yeah, that's it. Exactly. You got to try it. If not, we'll find something else, but you got to try these. And you know what? Everyone has different styles. And not saying one is right, one is wrong, but there are lines that cross. And when multiple of those lines start being crossed, that's when family, like in this case, family started getting concerned, saying, hey, wait, there's something going on. Even her estranged oldest daughter stepping up and saying something's wrong in this case. And we need to be looking at it. So right now, what are they looking at? So Frankie and Hildebrandt are charged with 6 counts of aggravated, okay, child abusc, a felony in Utah, which will carry a maximum sentence of 15 years in prison. Don't get me going on that, but that's another thing. Lip lock, tonight's the first time that you've heard of these people. You were shocked. Yeah, I was amazed when I saw this come out last night was the first time I read about it actually. And I was like, wait, no, no, no. Because their channel was taken down. I hadn't been thinking about them much lately. And then all of a sudden I remembered and I'm like, oh wow. I just it's a nightmare and it pulls up thoughts for you. Those of us who would have watched the videos and now start, it affects us even on a different level because what was going on during those times. Um, Boots, having kids try something and then allowing them to make a sandwich is different. Exactly. Exactly. AJ, yes, you are correct. Every parent is allowed to make their own choice when it comes to children as long as it is within the limits of love. That's of the law. I said love, but that also works too. But law and love, I agree. 15 years for each count. Thank you for clarifying that. And also, yes, 90 years total. Thank you for how malnourished was the little kid that jeopardized his okay. And that we don't know. We haven't seen the exact numbers. Okay, how much did the child weigh? Things like that. I do know they took the child to the hospital pretty much immediately, okay, to be taken care of. Now that could also be standard, guys. Got to be real. Okay, that could also be standard procedure too in this case. Okay, but yeah, lip lock. I agree. Amen. Right there. Sending a child. No, no. You know what? Children need their food to grow. Okay, there's connections with brain. Okay, brain development, things like that. They need all these things. Okay. And lip lock, that's the thing. That's where I want to, and we're going to slowly start moving into the direction of what we do for ourselves as I finish this. You get to the point that you would think we get callous to this and it'd be like, oh, yeah, it's another. No, we don't. And we can't. Okay. The moment that happens, there's something wrong with us, in all honesty, because this should affect us. There should be a part of us in here that gets irate when something like this happens. But if you happen to come from a background where you yourself were dealing with any type of trauma, okay, or any type of PTSD, anything. Okay, these bring up emotions for us. And what do we do to get through that? And love, limits, and logic. There you go, the three L's. I'm going to start. Yes, actually, Red Rock, by the way, hello, hello, hello. I need to write that down. Love, limits, and logic. That's a great one. Boots. This is bringing up vibes of Turpin shit. Yes. Yeah, it does actually. It really has that feeling of Turpin. Now, will it go in that direction? We don't know yet. We don't know. We'll probably start getting more and more information about it. So both of the women were in custody. Okay, they were denied bail. And get this, due to quote, the severity of the injuries of her two kids located in the home. I mean, this wasn't a case. I'm sorry, just my thoughts on this. Okay, this wasn't a case where they're like, okay, we'll just take the children away and we'll give them bail and let them go. This had to be, in my mind at least, egregious enough that the family was, that this judge was like, oh, hell no. Okay, that speaks huge to me. Washington County Attorney Eric Clark, in a statement, said the women are accused of causing or permitting serious injury to the two children in three different ways: a combination of multiple physical injuries or torture, starvation, or malnutrition that jeopardizes life and causing severe emotional harm. That's what we're looking at this point. What that looks like beyond that, as paperwork is released, things like that will, and I'll try to keep covering this case for you guys. I know I usually change on to new cases all the time, but this one really, because I have been following eight passengers for a couple years, okay, off and on. This one's really kind of got me going right now. So now the two children are in the hospital and they're in CPS custody at this point. They also have two other minor siblings who are also in CPS custody. There was some discussion that the father is trying to keep them all together and all. Something tells me that's not going to work out. I think I even heard that he may be coming up on charges, but don't quote me on that. I was not able to verify that. I read it in two places, but was not able to get the verification of that yet. Um, so the Santa Clara Ivans police officer who responded to the incident said in her affidavit, okay, Frankie recorded a video in Hildebrandt's downstairs just 2 days earlier, which the officer believed was an indication Frankie was in the home and was aware of the ABUSE, malnourishment, and neglect. Oldest daughter, 20. So this is her oldest daughter is the one who is estranged right now. And she is just happy that her siblings are going to be able to get justice and be safe now, because that's what she's been asking about. She's been pushing for, along with her other aunties and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah, there's quite a few people out there who will do that. The father will not get until the investigation is. Yes, exactly. Exactly. They got to find out. Did he know anything? And we've been trying to tell the police and CPS for years about this, she said, adding that her siblings are safe now, but there is a long road ahead. And that's the problem. If this has been going on for years or even months, guys, it takes a lot for these children to get over this. They'll never completely get over it. That's why we're having the subject next, talking about how to deal with the triggers. Because no matter what, you never completely get over anything like that. Certain things will bring triggers back, and you have to deal with it. No problem, locked. And also, love you, my dear. So there's a lot of things within this that, okay, actually, just finish this off. Frankie's sisters, Ellie Mitchum, Bonnie Holine, and Julie Daru, also parenting influencers. So her whole family kind of became, okay, mommy vloggers. All of them did. You know, it kind of happens. Any of you guys who've been part of a community, okay, one person becomes fairly popular and everyone kind of creates their own community at that point. And that's what this family did. Okay. They did not respond to requests for comments on Thursday night, but posted a joint statement on Instagram okay, today, I think it was today, saying that Frankie and Hildebrandt's arrests needed to happen. For the past 3 years, they said they kept quiet for the sake of her children. I'm not even going to say what's in my head on that right now. Okay, sorry, you don't keep quiet for I'm sorry, I don't know what they mean by that, and I should jump to conclusions on that. To me, guys, if you know a child that is being hurt in any way whatsoever, you have a responsibility to speak up for them. You need to speak up. You need to be their voice because a lot of times, like I said before, these children many times have to speak up themselves 3 times before anyone takes it seriously. And by then, a lot of damage is already done. And but at this point, the kids are now safe, which is the number one priority, according to them. Yeah, lip locked. And see, that's it. I mean, I'm like, yeah, I haven't read the whole comment, so I'm not gonna go deeper on that. But no, no. I mean, I don't care if you're a mandated reporter or not. Okay, ethically, morally, if we see something, we have to speak up. We have to be the voice of people who do not have a voice. Okay, doesn't mean you have to go out and become, okay, a vigilante or anything like that. But you do have to speak up and say something to the people who can do something about it. Okay, don't start talking all over the internet or something about it. You go straight to the police and you report it so they can get their investigation done, or CPS. Now, I know that's another issue there too. Yeah, thank God this child escaped before she. We've already seen, guys. Okay, I don't want to mention Ariel. That poor little girl was not being fed. Okay, she was spending the nights locked up with tape over her mouth, which led to her death. Okay, who knows what could have happened to these children in the future? And thank God they took ownership at that point. A child should not even have to be thinking about escaping, but that's what they had to do. They escaped, went to someone, and that person, thank God, called the police. Okay. Um, I think they meant they haven't spoken out on social media. If I remember correctly, the family has been reported by other yes, they have. And that's the only reason why I'm kind of like, if that's true, that actually does make sense then. Okay. If in fact, I'll be honest with you, I think if that's what they meant, I give them props then. If what they were saying is that we did not want to speak publicly about this, but we were calling CPS, we were calling the police, we were doing all those things, I give them props. Okay, because they wanted to get the help the best that they could. And that in reality should be what we do. And in reality, that should be enough to get a child safe. Unfortunately, as we know, it isn't always all that's needed. I agree, butterfly. By the way, good morning, my dear. Good afternoon. It is afternoon. Yes, it is. And good afternoon, butterfly. So what I want to do, I think that's the end of that article for now. Yeah. What I'm going to do is move us into a slight different direction at this point. And I can pull up more articles as time goes on if we need to do it. But what I want to do is share. Let me pull out my link. Share a link to anyone. Now, I am going to tell you, I need to have people either message me privately that is you behind, okay, there if you don't want your face shown, or show me your face ahead of time before I bring you up. But I want to open up the chance for all of us to be able to talk about what do we do when we are sitting on YouTube, okay, Instagram, X, whatever it is. We are sitting there and stories like this pop out. Welcome, 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 Crazy Mama. I love your name. I love that name. And thank you, Sleuth, for sharing. And so if you'd like to come up, I'm going to pin that real quickly. If you would like to come up and help us talk, and guys in chat, you can participate in chat also. When we're dealing with these types of stories, it does bring up emotions in us. It does get us, whether it's something that happened to ourselves, whether it's not being able to help a child that needs help, whatever it is, okay, it's just there making us think, you know what? All these different emotions and stuff like that. Okay, sounds good. The person who just told me, no problem. You got it. We got Miss Sleuth Mom popping up, so I'm going to bring her up real quick. Hello, Sleuth.
Hey.
Hey,
I was like, "Oh,
hey,
crap, my
hey.
camera's not plugged in." I didn't know if you seen that message or not.
I did. I had just dinged and I was like, oh, who's that? Who's that? And also, hello. Is it Mariah? Okay, I'm thinking it's Mariah or Maria. We'll find out. But hello and welcome. Yeah, Sleuth. I know you. Oh, we got someone else. Okay, I just saw who that was, so I'm going to bring them up also. We got Boots Mama joining us also.
Hi.
So, hello, Boots. So I don't know about you guys. Okay, when I'm on social media, whether it's looking and trying to speak up for the missing, whether it is following true crime stories, whatever, there are times I get triggered like hell. I mean, to the point of shaking anxiety level at times. It'll bring back memories or it'll just make me feel helpless. What about you? How have you guys found it affecting you when you're out there on social media?
For
Nicole.
me, it
Oh, okay,
oh,
Boots, you
for
go
me it
first.
just
No.
makes me angry, and
Okay.
then and the person that I watch, he
Mhm.
doesn't. He's not a family vlogger. He
Right.
actually like exposes the bad things
Right.
that
Right.
happen.
Right.
And so, I mean, I was just watching him right before you went live, and like he actually paused his like stream, and like one of his kids wanted him to like go and like cuddle or
Spend
something with it.
time. Yep.
Yeah, spend time with them, and he literally and said, "My kid wants to spend time with me. He's my first priority. I am ending this stream."
Yep. And there you go. I know that's one thing with Sleuth Mom I've always appreciated. No matter what, her kids come first. And to the point where you'll hear Junior talking in the background or stuff like that because she wants mommy. And
Or
what
the
about you, Sleuth Mom? Yeah.
random 5-minute mute sessions where I'm like, hitting the button before they start talking or whatever, so that I
That
can take care of.
happens.
Yeah,
Oh,
it does, it
yes.
does, and that's
Yes.
why, that was a big part of why I made my name Sleuth Mom, because that's exactly what I am. I am a mom first always. The sleuthing is secondary, but yeah, as far as, like, this goes, and we were just kinda talking about this a little bit on my members live also, like, just very briefly, but these cases are hard. They're
Mhm.
extremely, extremely triggering, and so you get to a place where it's like you
Yeah.
have to step back sometimes.
Yep.
You have to absolutely step back because you do get so angry and so frustrated, and it seems like you're just surrounded by so much negativity. And I
Yeah.
just want to tell you guys, if you get to that place, take a breath, you know. I, People say the words like touch grass and stuff like that. Um it's important to know that, like, there is not everybody is not evil. Stuff like this
Yeah.
is not hiding behind every good person you see's closet. It just sucks so bad whenever there is such a public face that is this seems like I don't know. I would
It
not have called them the perfect family if I was watching them because I know that there
Mhm.
was issues, but the perception of the perfect family.
Yes. Yeah.
There
Well, it's like I
is.
was saying with Facebook. Okay, how many of us go to Facebook or Instagram and we see through the filter of social media? That's what it social media has become a filter of its own. And you think everything that you watch is this perfect thing, and it's not. I mean, how many times I have an app that actually drowns out barking because this place is chaotic where I'm streaming from right now. Okay, Sleuth Mom's got the kiddos, Boots. You've got stuff going on at times. Things go on. And I think actually, Nicole, you mentioned it probably the best having that breath because it does happen. You're watching something. One of the ones that really triggered me the most was Kamari when her story was going on. That triggered me beyond all triggers. And you guys have seen me get triggered before. been in the middle of live and I've gone off just like Lip Locked was saying. Okay, gotten so triggered on a live stream that you lose it emotionally and trigger the audience at that point. And you feel horrible about it. But it shows the caring that we have. But crazy mama, right there. You breathe through your nose, out through your mouth. That helps more than you know. And I think that's probably the best thing any of us can do when we get that.
Well,
And
and for me, even with the channel that I do watch,
mhm,
if I notice I'm starting to get angry, I turn it off because he leaves his lives up. He leaves his
mhm,
videos up. It'll be there if I ever want to go back.
yep, bingo, bingo. That's
So, and
true.
if it's not there, well, how important was it?
Exactly. Exactly. If it's important enough, it's going to be there.
Mhm.
And that is good. Knowing your limits. Okay, and knowing when it's time to say I need that break. Okay, I'm watching this case and this case is just really really starting to affect my day-to-day life. Okay, where all I can think about is the case. I'm getting antsy, I'm getting agitated in real life now because of this case. So you need to take a break. And taking those breaks is fine. I know people joke about it, but you need those breaks. That's what keeps you sane and able to help. It's like being a caregiver. If you're a caregiver of someone, you cannot take care of that person if you're not taking care of yourself first. And yeah, so
Right.
yeah,
And
so
YouTube breaks are healthy. Crazy Mama just said that, but I'm going to say, okay, if this is your social media, if this is where you are getting your interactions and your conversations and stuff like that, the thought of taking a break is easier said than done. Um,
yes.
what I want to tell you is there are other communities outside of just true crime.
Oh
And
yeah.
so sometimes it helps if you need this for your socialization and typically you would be alone. I understand that need to have a family online, right? And the need to have friends online. You know, I look for a knitting station or a road
Oh,
trip
that's
or
mean.
something fun. Do you know like there's these sorry, I'm gonna plug a channel real
No,
quick, but
go
there's
for it.
these this little old couple that I love and they do true crime because he's a retired police officer, but they also have a channel called The Million Mile Road Trip and they're in an RV traveling across the world just going on this million-mile trip. And so they have their true crime channel where they cover the missing, but then they also have this other channel where you can watch them just dealing with all their shenanigans and the one time their cat escaped, so they were filming themselves looking for the cat and just different stuff. And so
Right.
it's interesting.
I
But
like
there's
watching
other
this
there's other
one
places to
lady.
socialize.
She
So cool.
does predominantly like shorts, but
Yeah.
I can't cook well to save my life. So it's funny because her shorts are hilarious
Mhm.
because she's like, when my husband has an attitude and still asks me to pack his lunch, and then she just makes the funniest comments while she's packing his lunch, and it's like comedy. It's like sarcasm.
Yeah.
And then like I'm also in the diamond painting community,
Yep.
the adult coloring community. There's so many other places on YouTube you can have.
Yeah.
I mean, there's different communities. Like if people like, I mean, bird watching.
Well, there are that,
Like
and
I
that's the
know
thing.
during COVID that like the Vancouver Aquarium's Marine Mammal Research Rescue
Mhm.
Center had a 1-day old baby otter they rescued, and they had 24-hour feeds of him. So I mean, and now they have like the sea otter exhibit, and so I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
there's like different. If you like animals, there's like all different YouTube channels you can find for any animal, I'm sure.
Perfect. Thank you, Sleuth. Yeah, no, I think if you look at us as human beings, we are not just one interest human beings. We have a lot of different interesting. Okay, I myself, I mean, I love parrots because I have an African gray. So I go on to like parrot station and stuff like that. I love the top fives. There's a whole channel that all they do is, and I'll use those channels when I'm having a rough time. Some nights I will watch true crime lives as I'm falling asleep. And because I need to catch up on friends' lives. And but sometimes I'm just like, I can't do this. I know I'm going to be dreaming all night because that does happen. And also, I'll switch over to one of the top fives, or I'll do something on those levels just to kind of refocus myself, or read a book. How long has it been since someone has actually read a book? I picked one up the other day and I was like, oh my God, I haven't read a book in years, to be
I read
honest.
almost daily.
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're good. So, what about you guys in chat? What do you guys do if you find yourself starting to get triggered about something? And it could be true crime related, it could be drama related. I know people in the drama
Right.
community get very triggered about stuff, and it
Oh,
affects your real life.
there's drama in every community if you look hard enough. I mean,
And
there's
that's where
been there's
I
been
was actually,
several events that have been drama related in the diamond painting community. There's drama in the coloring community, and I'm sitting here going,
no,
I mean,
honestly, that's why I was joking when
someone
Sleuth
colored
Mom
the
talked
page.
about knitting. When Sleuth Mom was talking about knitting, I was like, I've seen some really nasty fights go on in that community.
Stabbing each other with the crochet
Oh,
needles.
yes.
Like, oh,
Oh,
man.
there's major
Oh, yeah.
fights in the cross stitch community.
Yeah. So and that shows the normal of life. And
But it's
let
not
me
as bad
ask,
as
how
like,
many of you guys, going into the trigger side of things, because I know a lot of us have either had issues with PTSD in the past or stuff like that already. How many of you guys in chat and here have a list of things that you do to ground yourself? Actual written out list that you've put together of things to ground yourself when you feel like you're starting to, I use the word, for me, spiral, because that's what it becomes for me. Is I just start going and I keep going, and I got to pull myself out of the spiral, otherwise it just continues getting worse and worse, slippery slope, whatever it is.
I
Do
do.
either of you guys have that? You do, Boots?
Yes.
Awesome. What about you, Sleuth Mom? Have you ever
I
put something on?
typically continue the unhealthy behavior until I have a complete and total meltdown. So I am the wrong person to ask this.
What's funny is when
You know
I
what
get
though? And I'm always like one of the biggest proponents of like walk away,
Yeah.
take a break, and it's easier said than done. But
Yeah,
I am
exactly.
the I always compare myself to the guy on anger management. There there's the cashier that deals with the crap every single day and never says anything. And then there's
Yeah.
the customer who's screaming and flipping out every day, and the cashier just lets it build and build and build, and then one day he snaps. Yeah, that's me. I'm the cashier.
That's me. That's me. There's a reason why you guys don't see me normally blow up, because I hold everything inside, even with things like this. I will
Mhm.
watch something. I know it's triggering me. I
Right?
literally know it's triggering me, but I can't stop. I keep watching. I keep
Yeah.
watching. And
What-
then,
well,
yeah,
what I do is I will literally rage quit whatever I'm watching, call up a friend, and like I have a few friends who
Yeah.
I've talked to, and they're okay with it, and I call them and I just vent completely right out, and they're like, and they just don't say a word the whole time, and when I stop talking, they're like,
You're like, okay,
okay, that
she's
bad?
there. She's there.
You feel
I've gotten
better?
so much
And
better
I'm
in like
always
my
like,
real life.
oh my gosh,
I
I
seem
feel
to
so much
struggle
better.
more on
1 second,
social
Sleuth.
media.
Yes, Lou?
My real life, I've gotten better. Like I know, I used to be the person that like I would let stuff get to me and stuff on my real life, and
Mm.
I would build up and I would explode and stuff like that. And then I realized,
Yeah.
okay, you know what? I just cut that out. Like I just don't allow myself to be exposed to those things that are triggering. And so I
Yes.
just completely put myself in this little box where it's like, okay, even my mom, and this is going to sound horrible because I know a lot of you guys have good relationships with your mothers, but
Yeah.
my mom is one of my triggers because of the things that I went through as a child. And,
Right.
the different abuse and stuff that I suffered at her hands. And so, even though we have tried to like heal and mend this relationship, whenever I feel like she is deliberately pushing buttons and stuff like that, I just block her. Like, I just block all contact with her until I feel like, "Okay, I can deal with your crap again,"
Right.
basically. I don't do the same thing on social media, though. I don't know why. Like,
Interesting.
I don't shut it off, or I mean,
Right.
to a point I do, like, to a point I try not to watch the triggering streams and stuff like that, but okay, dealing with cases, because that's what this live stream's about, is these
Right.
cases. What do we do whenever it's the stories that are triggering us? And I don't walk away as much, and I'm getting better at it. Like, I have
Well,
cut down how many cases I am covering, because
yep.
after it was about 2, 3 months ago, I told you, like, I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
Because I was having a really hard time, because it was trigger after trigger after
Mhm.
trigger after trigger. And so I'm getting better at it. I'm learning and I'm growing as my time on this platform goes, to realize what I can and can't handle. And I think it's just really honestly a process.
Yeah. I think I said something to someone recently that I've been around YouTube now for about 2.5, 3 years actively. And a lot of the people that I've known that whole time, or most of that time, I've seen people growing. And because I remember when we first came to YouTube, how things would trigger us like crazy, or we blow up, or we get involved in this or that, or and I'm starting to see people who are finding different ways to deal with those triggers when they pop up. I myself, I still okay, I find cases will completely trigger me at a certain point, and my thing is I can dissociate from those things very easily, and that's dangerous for me because that's when I kind of disconnect from the emotion connected to it, and that's not good.
I do that
Um,
all the time with true crime cases, and so I try to only watch like certain people
yeah,
because I know who's gonna deliver it in a way that I can handle.
that's a good way of putting it.
And
Recognizing,
well, my main person who I watch, she's an
yeah,
attorney.
yeah,
I'm sure everyone knows her, Emily.
right, right, right.
And
Well, let me
she will
mention this
always
real quick.
say, if you can't handle it, it's okay.
Yeah.
She
Well, and
understands.
I think one of the things right there is recognizing exactly the type of presentation that works well for you. Okay, for example, if I see videos, it's going to affect me stronger than if I read about it. Okay, so I learn, okay, I need to do something. And that's one reason why I present the way that I present, for example, is I found a way that works better for me that won't trigger me as much. Because I have control rather than okay, the best way for me is to just tell the story for me. Okay, Sleuth, you were saying the other day that the way I present is a little differently than most people. And a lot of that is because then I can control the way I'm presenting it and try not to trigger myself because I can trigger myself so easy in certain cases. Because, like, one of the big things that will trigger me is a loss of control. So, if I see a case where someone had all control taken away from them, which is pretty much every single case, okay, it really will trigger my response and my need to kind of have control over things. And also I have to be recognize that. On certain channels, yeah, I just can't watch because of that. What about that with
Right.
okay, those of you in chat, Sleuth, what's your thought
No,
on that?
I was just gonna agree with you. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a sense of control and stuff like that over our environment and stuff. And
Mhm.
so I can totally relate to that. I think that
Oh,
still though, like, if you see me, like, where I'll bury myself in a trial. You know what I mean?
yes.
I'll shut down and bury myself into a trial, and whether people are watching it with me or not, like, I just go to that's my default now, and I've learned that that's kind of like a safe, controlled environment. And yes, it's still true crime, and I'm still hearing horrible, horrific details, but I'm expecting them, I guess.
Yes.
And w like, I was talking about how, a couple months ago, like, I had to step
Right.
back. I had to,
Oh
and
yeah.
not even step back, but, like, I mean, if you look at my channel up until about 2, 3 months ago and now, you'd probably be thinking
Definitely.
like, "Wow, this girl only covers, like, 1 case every so often, and it's like a trial channel." Like, no.
Right.
I mean, I used to do case after case after case after
Every
case
day.
after case,
Yep.
and,
Yep.
Sequoia Samuels, that poor
Yeah.
baby, like, I can't get her out of my brain. She just hit me hard because I really, honest to God, thought that they were gonna find her alive because the police said that there was
Yeah.
video, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thank God the parents didn't do this," and then it was the parents, and so
Yeah.
it's just like, I just it's hard whenever you have so many cases like that, it
Yeah,
gets
I think
triggering.
a lot of times when we get triggered most, it's usually when we're not on camera. Okay, it kind of like, okay, Lip Lock was saying she's gotten triggered so many times, and when it happens on camera, it everything happens in a different way. Because I've had times where things have stories have broken while I'm live, and I I will lose. I will get angry. I will get upset. I'll start going because when I'm at home alone and I read and something's okay, a case is broken, or you find out something happened that you were hoping wouldn't happen, or something like that, I'm in my safe zone in a way. I can go if I start crying, I don't have to worry. I can cry. Okay, I could go curl up with the dogs and play with them and laugh, whatever it is I need to do. Hey, 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 that girl. Love you, my dear. Love you. Um, so yes, Ringo also likes to try, and I think that is you something about trials because it is being put up as it's facts. Okay, the facts take the emotion out of it to some degree. Okay, it's not like that initial emotion that you're feeling when the story is breaking or something like that. Seal is saying it's the child. I'm going to say the word abuse for me. If I see a photo of an abused child, I get so angry. Exactly. I can totally. You're angry at the abuser and at myself because I can't help the situation. You want to physically be there and help. Yes, that one I could totally see. And so, what about friends? Okay, we're all part of a community here. Sleuth, you've got an amazing community also. Okay, do you find you lean on members of your community, whether it be a YouTube community, a Facebook community, a 3D community, to help you when you get triggered, or do you try to deal with it on your own?
I wish that I did lean on my community more because I know that there are people that would be there. Like, I know I could reach out to you and talk to you, and I have, like, kind of a
Yeah,
little
you
bit
have.
before.
You have, yeah.
And, I know that there are certain people within my, like, inner circle on this
Mhm,
platform that I very well could sit and talk to,
mhm, right.
but I don't nearly enough. I mean, I feel like
You're
I
going
would
where
be
I was
more
gonna go next.
productive. Yeah, I would be more productive, and I would be able to handle things better
Mhm.
if I didn't have so many walls and well, honestly, there's a certain level of fear that comes with YouTube, isn't there?
Mm,
Because of the way that things happen. You feel
exactly.
like you can trust people and you think that things are
Yes.
okay and you open up and you trust and you say things and you do things and then next thing you know, like those
Exactly.
people aren't who they said they are or they screenshot and share everything you said or whatever. And
Yeah,
so I've found that, there are a lot of times that I've had trust broken at the same time,
right,
so now I'm like,
right.
"Well, I can't say anything that I wouldn't say publicly to anyone,"
That's
and
how
so
I
then that
try to
becomes
do
an
it.
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I tried to do it. That girl was saying that she also does, the trials also, and it's yeah, you've gone through a lot this year, that girl, you really
Yeah.
have. And yeah, being able to where your limits are and your boundaries are so you can kinda stick with that. But, yeah, I know I'm one of those I know I can go to people and they be with me, and it becomes one of 2 things that go on in my mind. Number 1, I don't want to unload on anyone else.
Mhm.
Which, of course, I tell those same people, "Don't worry, you're not unloading on me. I'll put up my boundary. If I need my boundary there, I'll let you know the boundary's out." But
Much
of
easier to be
course
the listener, though, for both of
exactly,
us, I think. Mhm.
exactly. That's it exactly. And then, yeah, there is that thing, okay, of especially with YouTube. YouTube has given us a different way of dealing with people, a different way of creating relationships, okay, and friendships. You can create really good friendships here. I believe that strongly. But I also know people can turn on each other very, very easily. So I have my limits on what I will tell people here are things I will tell people one on one, face to face. I don't tend to say as much here. Now, it's weird though. I can come up here on a mental health live and talk all about my past, and I will not tell my friends that because I don't feel
Mhm.
comfortable talking to them. So it's weird, that mix of everything. Okay, not wanting to, okay, be a burden to other people, but at the same time, being able to share stuff that you normally would not share. And so yes, Felicia, that was Felicia I remember that was about a year ago when you and I were talking about that. And that's it. There's these certain cases, and what I find with these cases is just because the case is over doesn't mean it's over. Okay, Ariel's case continues to go on and on and on. And even when it's done and they are in jail for however long they get in jail, it's not going
We're
to be
never
totally
gonna know
over.
where she is.
Yeah. And so no matter what, you find yourself starting to feel better about something and find that content place. I don't want to say happy place, content place with something that you've dealt with the issues and all. And then it comes back and it slaps you in the face. And with something like Felicia Johnson, they never found her killer. You're going to have an anniversary pop up and know that she has not, okay, gotten her justice. Okay, in the case of Ariel, they keep extending and extending and extending her trial date, the trial date for her, okay, the monsters that adopted her. So
I
you
think
have to, yeah, go
No,
for it.
I was gonna say, I think what Red Rock said too plays a big part. It's hard to be the needer when you have always been the needed. And I have always been the rock of my family.
Yeah,
In every aspect, no matter which situation that I am in, I'm always the rock.
right.
And so it's really hard to not be the rock, right? Even whenever, I mean, last year, whenever my aunt passed away,
Mm, mhm.
it was
Yeah,
really difficult for me, and I still
right,
struggle with it. But nobody's seen me cry. Nobody's seen me upset because I had to be there for my cousin, and I've always been the why I gotta be there for this person. I gotta be there.
right,
And so for these cases, okay, we gotta do this. Let's be there for these families.
right.
Let's be there for this victim. Let's be there. And that's kind of how it is. And so you get into that never ending like, okay,
I
I'm the
have to be the
supporter.
strong one. Yeah,
Mhm.
I got to be the strong one. I will always need to be the strong one. Hello, canine. And you want to be. And the hardest thing in the world is if you're having a rough time, you're being triggered by something out there, and someone comes to you, and then you're left with the thing. Oh my God, do I put up? I need to be there for them, but at the same time, I'm not in a place to be there for them. How do I
Mhm.
do this? And so 9 times out of 10, I take whatever I'm dealing with and I throw it back into the corner of my head and try to be there for the other person.
Just bury it. It'll be
Um,
fine
yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's been there for my whole life, most of
till that
it.
box
It'll be
overflows in
okay.
the back of the corner and bam.
Exactly. Exactly. And I'm getting better at that. I'm actually
Mhm.
getting much better at actually telling people. And I've done that a few times recently where I've told people, guys, I need to keep my head above water. I'm really close to going underwater right now. I'm sorry, I want to be there for you and I'm there for you to send you hearts or stuff like that, but I just can't talk it through right now like I normally would.
Right.
If you still want to scream, in fact, I've told people before on messages, if you want to scream and get everything out of you in a message and send me that message and say you don't even need to listen to that message right now, hey, I'm the person for that right now. But I just can't deal on this other level because I'm ready to fall apart right
Right.
now. And it gets easier, but it's still hard
I
because
think
you're
as far
so,
as
yeah.
I think as far as, like, YouTube goes too, like, I don't know how you feel about this, and this might change as you grow, but I am
Mhm.
thankful for the friendships that I made whenever I was, like, under 1K. under 2K. And that sounds horrible, but
Yeah.
now there's a certain level of, okay, do they just want me on their panel or just want me to cover this case with them or just want me to talk to them because they're hoping to gather some of my subscribers.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of sick to even think that there's a level of that plays into this, but
Yeah.
I mean whenever you're talking about cases,
Yeah.
are people covering the cases and the story because they feel like the story is important to them and they feel like the situation needs to be talked about? Or are
Right.
they doing it because they're seeing all the other YouTubers do it and this is a case to grow off of? And so I'm
And
thankful for
oh
everybody
yeah.
honestly that was in my community and not to discount people who are new coming in. Sorry, Cooter G. Um, right.
Oh
Ringo
my
just wants me for my
Ringo
teeny
has it
discount.
right there. We know good and well. We only
Ringo,
care
I
about you for
regret to
that
inform
teeny
you that I
discount.
believe you were following me before 2K subs too. So I was just a baby channel whenever I found you
Oh yeah.
guys. Um,
Yeah. But
go
that
ahead.
is you hit it on a really good point there because I'm still small. I'm still small potatoes, and most of that is because I don't go after the big popular cases. I never have, and even this today, I was like, "Ugh, I know 8 passengers is a bigger case, but this means something to me." And I was like, you know what, I need to cover this one because it means something. And then with this whole thing, it does. The triggering from it is there when you sit there and you hear the story and you remember back to how you thought about it a year ago or something, and to know, oh, yeah, the channel came down last fall, winter, and what's been going on since it just triggers all these emotions. Hello, 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 hope. And, but yeah, oh, someone had their 10th grandbaby. Oh, was a baby born today? Eek. Congratulations, you guys. And also, but yeah, no, you do get that where people you start questioning, is that person trying to become my friend because of this or because of that and stuff like that? And yet there's still people who are really great friends that just never knew about you before that. And you see those and you create those relationships with them. And because you've got some amazing new members of your group. I've gotten thanks to you, actually. They've come over to me afterwards. And they're amazing people. And but there's just it is the fear that it was a baby boy. Okay. I was wondering if you would say whether it was a boy or a girl. It's a boy. It's a boy. So um yeah, I think a lot of this right now, and when we go through, oh wait, I got check time. Um I know exact and also, oh my gosh. But yeah, no, this whole thing, especially when you get multiple things going on at once, you get the cases that are going on and they trigger. Let me ask you guys in chat right now, in just 2 or 3 words, tell us what case triggers you the most. What is the case that really is down deep in your heart that leads you to all the emotions that you have to deal with? Okay, like I said, for me, it's Kamari and Ariel. Those are my two that if I even hear their names, I will always give updates on those two. And but those are the cases that are just there and they really pull up emotions for me. Hey Mel, how you doing, Mel? Love you, girl. Casey Anthony. Okay, there you go. Casey Anthony was a big one. I don't know if we lost Sleuth right now.
No,
Sleuth,
I'm here.
oh, there
Sorry.
you
Harmony, I think.
are.
Yeah,
Okay.
Angel Overstreet. Gosh, I got a list. Gannon,
Yes.
obviously, and
Yeah.
then Ariel.
Mhm. Ariel. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, you get those names and they pop up in a chat. And then even outside of that, I see some of the names that started popping up in the chat. And I'm like, oh God, yes, that one also. Oh gosh, what about that one too? So I think that's one reason why when I created this channel's the West Boys. Yes. The West
Yeah.
Boys were one for me. Gabrielle. Oh, yeah, Gabrielle. Well, and the way that I see it with these ones that hit us more than ever are the ones where they're going to make a difference in the world. I know
Right.
that sounds weird, but they are. They're going to make a difference, whether it is new regulations. Hey, PJ. Oh, how was the football game? Did they win? And okay, dogs. Um, because they did affect people. They did trigger us on a level that we're not going to let their names be forgotten. And they're going to be there for that. So, but yeah, when I started up with the whole this channel, this channel started off initially as it was actually just Cantina, and then I added in mental health, and I finally added in missing people. And what I found with the missing people, especially, so many people who focus on true crime and missing people are very empathic people. They're people who really care. They're people who want to make a difference. They feel things. Maybe they have their own PTSD issues to deal with. All of those mental health things are already there for many of the people in this community. And unfortunately, what would happen, we're all dealing with all the emotions from it, but feeling the emotions, okay, going through what it makes us feel like at a certain time, no problem, my dear. And but none of us really know what to do with the emotions when they come up. And that's why, for example, in my Discord, I have that one folder for people to post any of their mental health things that they're dealing with. Because just the same way we help each other in getting the word out about missing people, true crime, things like that, we also have enough people who are very caring that are there for each other. As long as we don't trauma bond. That's the only thing that does.
Right.
And that does actually, I hadn't even thought about that. Do you find trauma bonding becomes a big issue? Those of you in chat, I'd love to have your thought on this. When you're dealing with a lot of the issues and the triggers that come out of these stories, because we all start talking about it, we're all going to be talking 8 passengers, we're all going to be talking about all these different things. Do you find that when you're talking to other people about it, that you get into the idea of trauma bonding around it? What about you, Sleuth? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I think that that happens to a certain extent
Mhm.
with every case in our chats, just to be completely honest. Just but I don't think it's in an unhealthy place. Now, I do think that
Right.
there are probably people within even our community creator-wise and chatters, everybody. I do think that there are probably people who do take that and then try to run with, like, the victim type mentality and different things like that, but there's 2 different types of trauma bonding in my mind that happens. Like, there's the survivors that get together and they're like, "Yeah, like, this is horrible what happened, and,
Right.
how can we make a difference? How can we survive? How can we fight
Right.
for a difference? How can we" and then there's the other side of things where it's like, you know, the never-ending victimhood. Does that
Right.
make sense?
No, and that, in fact, what I'm looking for right now is because I actually almost covered this subject today, and this kind of what you're saying there meshes in with this. All of us have heard of PTSD. That's something
Mhm.
pretty common. There's something else out there called post traumatic growth. And that's kind of what I see when you were describing that. Okay, you
Mhm.
have some that get more, it does. You got to be careful. Some of those bonds can become very toxic, and you have to be
Right.
able to recognize them and be like, okay, you know what? This is probably not going to be a healthy connection right now. I've got to figure out how I'm going to work through that connection. But then you have others who do exactly what you're doing. They're taking that trauma or the post traumatic PTSD or whatever, all those past emotions, and they're trying to turn them into something good. They're turning them into growth. Whether
And I
that
think
be, yeah, go
I
ahead.
think that becomes dangerous too, though, for the person who is trying to grow,
Mhm.
because I feel like the victim people oftentimes try to attach to the growing people, and the growing people being who they are just want to help, right? And they
Yes.
just and so I don't know. I do think it has to be a healthy balance
Yes.
between all the sides. You know
Yes.
what I mean? I don't think that either side is necessarily completely wrong, but you need to find that middle of the road balance in it.
Yeah. I
Sorry,
think in
I don't
that
know,
no,
like, the
no, no, and
professional
that makes
way to
sense.
think about this or whatever. I'm no mental health
No.
expert for sure, but it's just something that, I don't know.
Well, no, and that's where it is. It is recognizing, okay, what it turns into when a person who is doing something like that, it's basically probably coming out of codependency in the back of my head. That's where I would think it's coming out of. Okay, yes, I'm growing right now. I can help someone else grow. And there's that connection that becomes more of a codependent relationship at that point. Um, but as I started looking at this, someone who's dealing with post traumatic growth, it's actually a very positive thing because what they've done is it's not focused on other people, it's focused on they themselves growing from whatever happened to them. And it's something new. I had never heard of it before, and I almost covered it today. Maybe I'll cover it next week. And
Hmm.
it'll give me more time to read into it because it was really interesting thought process. It came out in the 90s, actually. And also, hey, Robbie, love you, my dear. Mwah, love you.
Hi, Robbie.
Uh, PJ is saying there are some people that are stuck in survival mode so that it's, yes, there's a hard, happy medium with some, and that's it. That is, ooh, yes, Robbie. And also, but there is definitely everyone, sorry, dog wants my attention again. Um, we're all at different phases, okay? Whether you have a PTSD issue or trauma in your past or whatever it is, okay? You may be total consider yourself Joe Blow, no nothing bad happened in your past or anything else, but you're still dealing with things. We're all growing. And but I think especially when you're coming with someone who is okay, who comes from a background, some people get stuck in that survival mode because that's their fault. They need to survive. They haven't been able to take it to that other step. And figuring out how to find that middle ground, especially if you yourself need to be keeping going forward, because even if you're in a good place at that time, it doesn't take much to trigger and kind of have you take a step back. So it's definitely something there. Boots, I had a phone call. Hey, no problem. Oh, you had to figure out. No problem, my dear. Let's see what we got. Oh, yes, Robbie, you know it. You know it. I hope you had fun at the zoo, my dear. Until they get to the point where they grow with being able to express things. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of it. Some of it comes with getting older, recognizing what triggers us, what doesn't trigger us, and how those things change. Um, Something that triggers me today may not trigger me next week. And that's the other hard part of it, especially if you're watching
That's because 'cause we're women.
stuff. Yes,
I
exactly.
can
You
have
never
something
know where the
happen,
hormones
and
are.
I'm, like, completely fine, and then the same exact thing happens the next day, and I'm ready to stab you. I don't know why. It just is the way it is.
It's just the way it is. Just get used to it. Yes,
Just get used to
exactly.
it.
And
Throw a
you
bar of
got it.
chocolate at me and run
Mhm.
because
Yeah. Nope,
just
you
kidding.
got it, you
Sorry.
got it. Oh, no, no, that's good, that's good. Wally
Mm,
world! No, um, yeah, I think that's a lot of it right now is just trying to figure out when we get and kind of pulling it back into the thing with dealing with triggers. It's hot in this room. Either that or I'm having a hot flash talking about hormones. But yeah, no, I look at these stories. They do trigger us. Most of us seem to run towards the story when it triggers us rather than run away. I'm noticing that. That seems to be pretty common. And but all of us continue having to deal with them sooner or later. And
yeah.
we're all dealing with the same issues. I think definitely I did want to address when that popped up about the trauma bonding, because I do think a lot of people do, especially if you're still in that survivor mode where it becomes more of a trauma bond because you're going back and forth telling stories and kind of bonding over your pasts rather than what the story is that you guys actually came together to discuss to begin with.
Mhm.
And Seal just said, my mom used to upset me and push my butt. Oh my God. Yes. Amen. I stopped being triggered by her when she was gone. I know that sounds horrible. We had such a codependent relationship that was hurtful. And I think that's my dad and I were so alike that it was hard to get along at times. And it took him not being in my life anymore to be able to take that next step forward because I was so focused with the arguing and even though we agreed with everything, we would fight with each other and stuff like that because it's almost like he knew how to hit my buttons, like you just mentioned.
Mhm.
And once they're not there, then you start realizing, okay, now I can move forward in some weird way. It's weird. It's really,
And it
really weird.
and it's like, so even though you guys had, like, a mostly healthy relationship, like, just these
Yeah,
arguments and stuff like that, you wonder about, like, how are these kids who survived this situation and stuff, how do they it's I know what I suffer from because of things that happened to me, and
right.
my stuff, compared to this, compared to what these kids I mean, compared to being duct taped and tied up and, like, it
Not
just I
eating.
don't know, and I think that that's part of what captivates most of us is because it's like, "Dang, like, I had stuff happen and stuff was bad, but, like, these poor kids, like, what did they just
Yeah.
go through?" You know? And
Yeah.
and it's like the train wreck, like, you can't look away from the train wreck because you just wanna understand it. You just wanna
Right.
see what happened, and
Right.
and I don't know, I guess that's why I mean, even though stuff triggers us, that's why we have to look
Right.
at it and talk about it and discuss it. I
Right.
don't know.
No, actually, I think you hit a good point there because I used to tell people, you know what, people would compare what they went through and say, oh, what I went through is okay, it's not nearly as bad. Whatever happened is bad no matter what, because
Right.
it's what you went through. But we have a tendency to look for things that are worse. Is it main what's the thought process behind it? Is it possibly maybe, okay, well, you know what, they're surviving it. How are they dealing with it? Well, I can, if they can do it, I can do it type thing. Yes, I think we definitely have the okay, you drive by a car accident, everyone has to watch. I can't help but feel horrible for this family because these kids, not family, the kids. Okay, because these kids were probably screaming out for help at times. It looks like family knew what was going on and they were trying to speak up. And when I heard that statistic, and I need to find out how true that statistic is, or if God forbid it's even worse, that a child has to self-report 3 times before it's taken seriously by someone, those things affect kids. Could you honestly feel, okay, you're going to school, and I don't know if they were being homeschooled or anything like that, but they may have been in sports, they may have been, okay, going to doctor's appointments, things like that, and you're hoping someone will recognize it. And you might even get brave enough to ask someone or say something to someone. And then you hear, oh, well, that person didn't do anything with it. The police didn't do anything with it. Okay. CPS didn't do anything with it. It leaves you as a child probably thinking, does anyone take me seriously? Do I matter? And they do. They completely do. So, yeah, I definitely could see that one going. Seal said, I miss the good mom so much, but I'm free from the bad. And that's it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's, you miss the good side of those things, but just wish you don't have to deal with the bad stuff anymore. But you do miss that good stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, Seal. Yeah. Do I matter? These kids have to wonder these things at times. Every one of them. How many
Thanks
times
for
have they
having
asked?
me up, Lokamai. I'm
Aw,
gonna go ahead
no
and jump down because
problem.
I know you do have another live coming
We
up
do.
after this one.
Exactly.
I
And I do
appreciate
want to
you
say thanks, Lynn. Oh, sorry.
No,
Go
I
for
was
it.
gonna say I appreciate you letting me come up and, like, kinda put out my 2 cents and spill my guts or whatever. Um, I don't know if I actually helped anybody solve any of their problems, but, you
This
know,
was just you no, girl, you
it
know
is
what?
just a chatty.
Yeah, and that's what this is. This was chatting so that we all know we're all going through kind of the same things, trying to work through the same ideas, things like that. So I love it when you come up here. I actually really enjoy it when you come up. So love you tons. And I'll
Have
talk
fun.
to you later.
Bye.
Love you. Love you, my dear. So, and Lone Wolf, thank you. Thank you. I love you. Love you. You want to say thanks, Lone Wolf? Or, oh, you just want treats. See, now I can buy this one treats now. So, because I am officially out of treats right before Cantina starts. This is not good. I am going to open up the good old Cheetos popcorn. They can have popcorn tonight. So, anyhow, thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, your triggers aren't associated with emotions, but flashbacks to actual traumatic experience. 75, a traumatic event caused you to lose all your emotions. 2 years ago, my first, really? That's, you know what? Someday, if you ever feel like talking about that, I'd love to hear more about that. And so, because you never know who you're going to connect with that has gone through stuff like that before, and then people don't feel as lonely. So, thank you so much. And thank you for the donation, Lone Wolf. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yeah, pretend kibble. Actually, grateful cat mama, I do that. I will actually, in fact, I'll do that right now. I'll go grab, before we go into the next live, I will go in and get a whole thing of dog food and I'll give them kibble and they'll believe it. So where are we going next? Okay, this has been a wonderful, I'm really happy we did this live. And thank you, all of you who are new here. Thank you so much for joining in today. Sorry, dogs barking like crazy. Hopefully you guys have not had to listen to the dogs the whole time. We are going to take about a 30-minute break, and then we're going to be meeting on a live that you will be redirected to right after this. For those of you who know, I'm from Hawaii, and actually I live on Oahu. But all day today, we've been doing a vigil for Maui. And it started with sunrise services this morning and different Native Hawaiian practices, stuff like that. We had another one during lunch, and we are going to be having, starting at, I think it's 5 o'clock till 7:30 my time. So 11 o'clock on Eastern time, they are going to be starting the sunset vigil. And it's going to be a bunch of things just to honor those that lost their lives in the wildfires. So if you would like to join us tonight, it's going to be a little different cantina than normal. I'm going to let people come up on panel so we can all be part of the panel for that. But if anyone would like to come over, please come join us. And we'll just see what happens. What I saw this morning was just absolutely gorgeous. You can see some of the different chants, hula, lot of the different chants and stuff like that. So please come and join us for that. And I wanted to say thank you so much. That would be great, Boots Mama. Send it to me on Discord. So thank y'all tons and tons. And I will see you guys in 30 minutes as we start that. I'm going to go grab some water, something to drink, some food, whatever it is you need, treats for my dogs. And I will see you in 30 minutes if the dogs stay quiet. Thank you guys for joining, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.